Hello, everyone. This is Tom, the Lone Wolf Prepper. Welcome to the Lone Wolf Prepper channel. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Anyway, the channel's growing. Just want to do a little channel stuff first. It won't take long. The channel's growing. I almost got 500 subs. I appreciate them all. Appreciate the channel growing and word getting out. The views are going higher. No matter how much YouTube is trying to fight it, the views are still going higher. So, one thing about my channel is I told you guys I wasn't seeing all the comments. Well, I figured out how to get to the rest of the comments. Those are the ones I guess they don't want me to see because they're afraid they're going to hurt my feelings. Which YouTube doesn't have to do that. They're not going to offend me. I'm on YouTube. I'm ready to hear the comments, whatever it is. Okay, whatever you got to say, you got to say it. So I found them. Hi, Carol. And the one thing about it is I can't respond to them. I wasn't going to be smart aleck or nothing like that. I just want to respond to them. You know, that's how you get communication going. When people aren't getting along, you got to start talking. And then they're allowed to give the comment, that's fine. But then I'm not allowed to reply. I mean, I'm not doing it in a negative way or anything that in a mean way. Just reiterate my point a little bit more, okay? But whatever. So yeah, I wasn't allowed to respond to them, and I just want to tell people that when you do that, that's not me doing it. If your comments get deleted, I'm not doing that. Okay? Like I say, I'm thick-skinned. Believe me, there's no way you can assault me or threaten me in a way that I actually would feel that my life was threatened to where I think your comment, I'm not going to read it. I'll be honest with you. I'll be straight up honest with you. I started reading them, I was laughing my ass off. I was called everything from an inbred to just everything on up. Crazy. But you know what? It gets the conversation going. And I tell you what, I've had a lot of good friends that started out my enemies, even if we weren't on the same political page. But whatever, YouTube, if you hear that, you don't got to do that. But maybe they don't want to if they put it on the regular feed, then you guys can see them too. But whatever, okay? But I don't erase comments. I want to see them all. I want the discussion to start. I'd rather me discuss something with somebody that's totally drinking the Kool-Aid from what they're being told and maybe not completely convince them, but maybe get them to sit there and start thinking the other way, okay? You can't bring somebody around. You can guide them, but they're the ones that eventually got to do the hard work. Marshall C. Howdy, Hoss. Anyway, but they're the ones who have to. You just get them on the right path. Like I always say, God will open the door for you. He'll get you up to that door. And this is what He does a lot of times. Gets you up to that door and stuff, and gives you. You just got to open it, walk through it. Okay. He don't perform miracles like that. Saying, "Oh, I want this God." Yeah, He'll get you to that point where you got to do your part. Okay. By the way, I don't erase comments. I want to see them all. I want the discussion to start. I really, really do. We got a little over 80 days before the election, and we are such a divided country. Anyway, one quick prepper thing, or a couple quick prepper things. I am seeing the signs of an early winter. Okay, I saw this back in the signs I'm seeing now. I lived about 130 miles southwest of here, and I started seeing these same signs. It was 2009, where the birds were starting to flock together in August, and then I saw the cottonwood trees starting to change, the leaves starting to change, and that's what I'm seeing again. So this is just something I'm seeing. I'm not saying we're going to have an early winter. That's just what Mother Nature's telling me, and that's how I'm going to prepare. Last time I saw that, I went and talked to my boss about it, and I was telling him in August we were going to have an early winter, and we had 10 inches of snow by October 9th. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just, you follow Mother Nature. I'm just saying, I read the signs. Okay, and that's what I'm seeing. I've been noticing the last couple of days. I just want to tell everybody about it. Whether it's just in my head, I don't know, but that's what I see. Okay, now on to tonight's subject. Do people, the average American, understand what freedom is anymore? Because how can the other side, and I'm saying the communist side, flat out the communist side, think they're free? How can they call that freedom? Okay? Us on the other side have a totally different idea what freedom is. How is that possible? So first we need to start it out with is what is the definition of freedom? Freedom, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants to without hindrance or restraint. Okay? Now, I guess the criminal has a right to freedom, not the right, freedom to commit crimes. But in this normal society where we have rules and people have to get along and you don't want to disrespect your fellow man, okay, so you don't interfere with their rights or their freedom to do exactly what you're doing. Okay, this is the thing. Your freedom is okay as long as it doesn't interfere with somebody else's freedom. Once it starts doing that, you stepped over the line. Okay? Freedom is kind of like an individual thing on how you think, how you want to take it. My freedom is being out here in the middle of nowhere. Okay, pursuing my happiness the way I want. But freedom, like I say, once your freedom starts interfering with somebody else's freedoms, then you've gone too far. Kind of like our government is using what they think their freedom is to interfere on our freedom. And then there's consequences for that. A criminal goes to jail. Governments get overthrown. Okay. One thing, little side notes on freedom. No subjugation by a foreign government or despotic government or tyrannical government. Okay? Freedom from that. And this is just stuff I'm bringing up because as I go through my list, I'll be coming back to the definition. And then state of not being imprisonment or enslaved. Okay? January 6th protesters, anybody? And I'm surely no re-education camps would fall under that category too. We have a cool front, let's see. We have a cold front moving in overnight into the next several days, and it's night going to be low in the 60s, and I'm going to enjoy these cooler nights. Oh, yeah, I know. I tell you what, we had a week that was it rarely got out of the 70s. I only got out of the 70s a couple days. And then we had a couple days of heat. Yesterday was really hot. Friday was really hot. And then today it's only in the 60s again. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you see the birds flocking together. I mean, the signs are there. Okay? The signs for that tsunami in the Christmas of 2004 were there. What did people do? They didn't look at the signs. They went down and see why the water is receding. Anyway, all right. So that's the definition of freedom. Now, how do us patriots, conservatives, constitutionalists, look at freedom? First thing, we look at it as our rights are given to us by God. For us being born, we have the right, as freedom says, to act, speak, or think as we want and pursue our happiness. to use that and know what kind of life, decide what kind of life we want to live and go live it. And you're free to make mistakes and also succeed. Okay. You just can't have the freedom to succeed without the freedom to make, go backwards too. That's where you get into the too big to fail category. Okay. But we believe our rights are God given. And that means we believe that the government's job is to protect our ability to observe those rights and just be free. It's the government's job to protect that. That's why we send these guys there. Okay, and how does the government ensure our freedom? Well, let's see. First, they secure our borders so we have no foreign invasion. Okay, do you feel our freedom is being protected, our liberty is being protected that way by our federal government right now? Just saying. Ensuring the money supply to make sure that's always going to be worth something. Basically not putting our government so far in debt, us so far in debt that we become a casualty of the financial age. But anyway, do you feel that? Do you feel the money in your wallet, your dollar getting worth more or worth less? Okay, like I said, inflation is caused. Real inflation is caused by people not living within their means and allowing the governments not to live within their means. And when the government stops living within its means, that means we all stop living within our means. It's just the truth. I mean, yeah, you get a lot more money, but it's not worth anymore. I mean, yeah, gold's going up. Yeah, that's just because the dollar is becoming more worthless, and you got to throw more piles of green paper at it to buy it. What are we going to do when nobody else wants the dollar bill? No other country wants it. Well, we'll be hurting then. Okay, another thing, how they, ensure our safety and our freedom by making us safe in the world. Okay, one thing our founding fathers didn't want was a standing army. They were scared of it, didn't want it, didn't think it was a good idea. And this is the way this country policy was followed up until after World War II. Even after World War I, we downsized. Before World War II, we were rated as a military right behind Portugal. I think we were 19th in the world at the time. Okay, because our founding fathers, after we went to war, everybody came home and started being productive Americans again. We're not going to have a standing army. Well, that's changed. Okay. And what did Eisenhower warn us of his farewell address? Beware the military-industrial complex. Why would he say that? He was a good man. He didn't fight World War II to become that's not for valor. That's wrong. For prestige, like Monty did. Monty was all about his ego. Eisenhower was about getting the job done. Okay. So, yeah. Do you feel that, we're safe in the world? Do you feel that we're respected in the world? I mean, we're throwing all this money around to start world wars and to start wars with other countries, and pretty soon we'll be sending our kids. Okay. Maybe we should start getting out other countries' business, use diplomacy, get our troops. Do you happen to hear what took place in Air Force Base in San Antonio? No, I'll be honest with you, Carol. I stayed off of YouTube today. I stayed away from stories and stuff. I just needed a break, okay? I need to take a couple good days of vacation. Friday, I had to go in. We were working cows. And like everything else, we're all short-handed. So I had to go in Friday and work. So, but I never even followed no news today. I guess I'll look on that tonight. So, what did happen there? Some shooting or something. This, this is what I mean. Remember when all we had to worry about was Monica Lewinsky? Remember them days? God, look at the mess we're in now. And now we sit there and don't even know what the word freedom means anymore. It's going to continue going. Settle down, Tom. I'm going to keep going. See this thing. I look at my videos sometimes and I'm calm. I try to calm myself, but I could be a new Alex Jones any day. I'm not going to be crying, but I don't have a problem getting excited for what I believe in. How's a Marine supposed to feel when his country's being taken over? And all I was taught in the service to hate communists and terrorists and who we got in charge of our country. Okay, so anyway, Eisenhower warned us of military industrial complex. It's here. We're spending almost $1 trillion a year. Nicholas Bliss, I'm getting bad, but my boomer parents think I've been bad before they don't want to prep. Your parents don't want to prep? You're kidding me. They're boomers and they don't want to prep? But they do grow up in the city? I mean, I don't. Well, you keep prepping, okay? Yep, you keep prepping. I mean, we all can see what's coming. You're all going to be on our own one day. 911 isn't going to work. There isn't going to be gas at the gas station. Now, the grocery stores is going out in public is going to be dangerous. So, I'm not one, obviously, for bugging in. I'm a bug out type of guy. But anyway, I don't understand. I mean, like I said, I grew up out in the country growing up. I mean, I was picking we never bought jelly. Our garden, we canned everything. We butcher 100 chickens at a time. We had 2 deep freezes and stuff, and our ducks and our geese. We had a lot of poultry and stuff. And then my stepfather, he'd buy a pig every once in a while, get butchered, that type of stuff. And that's just the way I grew up. And there's all these skills now that we have that I had growing up. You got to go to school to learn. I mean, can you imagine having to go to school to learn how to weed a garden? I got told, get my ass out there. But anyway, that's the thing about our freedom, how we think of freedom. We think of independent. We're independent from the system. And hey, how's it going, Impeach, Donald? Nice to see you. Yeah, I tell you what, I like to get on there. One thing about your audio this morning, I could barely hear you. So anyway, is being independent. Being able to survive without the system. When did that stop? I don't understand when that stopped. I remember growing up when welfare was a bad thing you were on. Okay, we grew up poor, but my parents were never going to accept any type of government help at all. And I'm glad because growing up that way, I learned to be tough. But yeah, do it ourselves. The government, how you can help me, government? Not by promising me nothing or trying to throw some money my way. Get out of my life. You stop taking income tax from me, that'll be good enough. Oh, I wish they'd sit there and get rid of the IRS and go to a flat state tax, sales tax. But why can't they do that? Because they got to keep tweaking the tax code to get more money out of us because they keep spending more. Like I say, why we have inflation? Because we don't require our government to live within its means. Okay? How do they pay for stuff? By screwing us over more. That's why I need to become independent from the system. Okay? Just stay out of our lives. I can prosper a lot better if I can spread my wings and soar and see what's going on and determine what direction I can go in without having to jump through all these government hoops. It's just, the more rules they can make on us, the more hoops we have to jump through just to do basic functions every day. Like I say, you people that live I know this is not federal, it's a state, but live in big cities and you have to go to 3 different buildings to get a driver's license. And they're all on different sides of the city. And they call that efficient. I had to do that in Wyoming, in a Casper. That was ridiculous. Here in Nebraska, I go to the courthouse, to the Treasury Department. Boom, done. So, now there's a lot of things I like about Nebraska. Camelot is the price of can't afford. Yep. I mean, I'm going to get into the communist, okay? But right now I'm going through how we look at freedom as conservatives, independent people and stuff that want the government out of our lives. And that's one way to get the government out of your life. You cannot depend on them for anything. Like Social Security. That was optional at first. Okay, they got their foot in the door. It was optional at first. How optional is it now? That's why you didn't need a Social Security number, because it was optional. And then the return you get on your money is nothing what they said it was going to be. Like you say, if Social Security is so great, then how come everybody that's on it is still working at Walmart or has a job? That's what you got to be responsible for yourself. And that's what we think. I'll be responsible for myself, government. I got a good life plan here. Things are going for me, good for me. You need to stay out of it. And I don't want to pay for anybody else to get like this. The more they struggle to get like me, the more they'll be successful when they get like me. Nobody succeeds by somebody always filling their hand. Remember, feed a man a fish, or give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for the rest of his life. Independent. I don't remember nothing in Jesus saying about depending on the government. He didn't like the tax man very much. You remember that? What level was the tax man at in the Bible? He sure wasn't at the level that he's at now. He sure wasn't allowed to sit there and get into your paycheck before you did. I'm trying to keep this under an hour. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Helps those who help themselves, right? Like I say, God will take you to the door. You still got to open it and walk through it and achieve the goal. He's not a miracle worker that sits there and floats you around on a hovercraft and nah. He'll set up the situation for you to succeed. It's up to you to still succeed. Okay. Anyway, okay, another thing we want. Laws enforced equally to all citizens. You hear that, Hunter? Joe? You want to get on Trump about classified information, classified documents. You got them in your garage next to your Corvette for years. How many times did Hunter go through them boxes? I had a security clearance in the service. I know what the rules are against this. That paper you signed, basically they could shoot you. Maybe politicians don't have to sign that paper. Whatever. But the law is enforced equally. Okay? And that means the border. I am so tired of hearing people that enter this country illegally who are breaking the law, who are criminals, deserve special treatment and our money and stuff. Are you kidding me? Kick them back over. Or let's open some factories up in the middle of the desert where they can't escape and put them to work, and after 4 years, kick them out. They'll never come back. Why doesn't anybody sneak into Mexico? Anybody? Bueller? Oh, is it because we know the way we'll be treated? We ain't going to get no money. We're going to be thrown in, fed cockroaches for 2 years, taken back to the border and said never come back? Anyway, laws enforced. Government doesn't pick winners and losers. And this is what comes with special interest and all this pork money and stuff. Buying votes with the budget. Those congressmen, oh, look at what I did for my district. Out of you taxpayers with something that's completely worthless. Okay, buying votes. The budget should be based on the military, the State Department, and defending our money in our shipyards, what the Constitution allows at the beginning. Okay, there's no reason. How big is the cabinet now? 26, 27? I don't know. I lost count. 3 people. Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State. Let's get back down to that. See, the thing is, that's what was allowed in the Constitution. All these other departments in the federal government is basically should be covered under the 10th Amendment. Just saying, they have no right to this. Okay. So, yeah, the government doesn't pick winners and losers, especially with our money, because we're always ending up to be the loser. Okay. No lobbyists and special interest groups. No IRS, FBI, ATF, or hundreds of other departments that they got buried in all these other departments and committees. Done. See, this is how government hides what it does. It just gets divided into a whole bunch of other departments in that department. Same thing the Nazis did. Exact same thing. Okay. Obey the Constitution. That's what we want. We're out here obeying the laws. You guys can't even obey the Constitution. You don't even know what the term or the phrase shall not be infringed means. But you can see the word abortion in the Constitution. I'll get into the liberal communists real quick. But obey it. It's a rule book for this country. We're not playing a game of Monopoly with a bunch of kids who want to change the rules just because over half of them say, yeah, we want the rules that way. You get it that way. No, we're not that way. We're not that much of a democracy. We have democratic principles, but we're not a democracy. I mean, if we were a democracy like that, I guess all us white men are bad people and we need to be slaves. They could institute slavery. You see why a democracy doesn't work? You see why a constitutional republic does? Because it has rules. Once you can't overturn an amendment. I mean, Kamala Harris, you cannot executive order the Second Amendment out of existence. And this is going to be my short for tomorrow morning, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's some form of it. Something like anytime you let the government restrict your freedom, your constitutional rights, they just became privileges that the government can grant. And that's what's happening. Okay? We grant the government permission to do stuff, not the other way around. Okay? Another thing we want, free and fair elections. No more early voting. One day to vote. It worked that way for a lot of years. Over 100, I don't even know when they started early voting, to be honest with you, but well over 200 years. And now we can't do it? Done with it. Definitely no illegals voting. I mean, we need to just go back to the rules. Like I say, the laws need to be enforced that are on the books. Okay? And that's when criminals sit there and think their freedom is to sit there and destroy somebody else's freedom. That's when they get brought and they get their freedom taken from them and thrown in jail. You understand? Men should not play on women's teams. Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. Even Caitlyn Jenner, okay? Did you do this? Impeach, growing up, eating your Wheaties, looking at Bruce Jenner on the Wheaties box. You know, and you're probably a little older than me, but I was an impressionable kid, and now he's whatever he is. But even he says that men shouldn't compete with women. That's why they shut him up. But see, he's an athlete. He knows. And see, this is the thing about real athletes that non-athletes don't understand. Athletes like me. I am not happy competing. How can I say this? I always want to be challenged. Okay. I don't like going against somebody I'm not gonna learn something from, or I'm not definitely not gonna sit there and fight a woman when I know I'm superior to her. And then these guys are proud of it. Bruce was cool back in the real world. Yeah, I know. I just Who knew? See, this is the thing too. You don't think he wasn't that way when he was running the Olympics? Of course he was. Of course he was. But he kept it in his closet until society, where society wanted it kept. You can be however you want. You're free. But there's some things our culture, our society wants you to keep hush hush about. Keep it to yourself. And that's what he did. Why can't it go back to that? Why, if I meet somebody, the first thing I got to hear is their gender, or what they approve, or who they want to sleep with in the bedroom? Do you think I really want to hear that? I mean, you're telling me basically to judge me on that right away. Why don't you talk to me about the weather, or an interest that every normal person has? Okay. And when the time comes for me to know that, but I don't like it to be the first thing I always got to hear. Yep. Just like my short I made today about monkeypox. What'd you think of that? I mean, it's the truth. It's so basic, it's the truth. Nature has its way. You act in a not natural way, you may have problems. But anyway, we want free and fair elections. Now, I'm sure there's a lot you can add to this list. But like I say, now the list I'm going to go about freedom, what liberals, communists, and Democrats think about freedom. It's not going to be in the order, but whatever. And you can add to this. Okay. Now, the old Democrats, the Jimmy Carter Democrats, stuff like that, I think they don't realize that their party has been taken over by the communists, the special interest groups that are being led by the communists, the LGBTQ, to name one. The feminists, okay, the atheists, everything that's sick and twisted against our culture, that group, okay, and occasionally they eat themselves, don't they? But I don't think the real diehard Kennedy and Carter and Clinton Democrats realize this. That Barack Obama actually transformed America. Okay? But the communists won out, without a doubt, because Kamala, number one communist, cackles, followed by Tim Walz. Okay? One thing they look at is they got all this sick and twisted stuff they want to do. And they do have the freedom to do. If they go to a state that allows it, see, the federal government is not allowed to get into that, because not in the Constitution about homosexuality, transgenderism, none of that stuff. Okay? So that falls under the 10th Amendment. States have the right to decide that. But all these people are waiting because they want to do all this sick stuff, like minor attracted, what are they called? Minor, whatever, kids, those guys and women, you know, you know, states, they're looking for the government to give them permission to do this. So they can act out on say, it's okay because I'm not breaking the law. How many times have we heard that from politicians? I didn't break the law, but did you do something wrong? Well, I didn't break the law. So that's the state they need to get in. They need laws passed giving them permission to act out their evil ways. Just like they need laws protecting abortion. Okay, that's not in the federal constitution. So the feds cannot deal with that at all. That's a state's issue. So if you want to get an abortion, all you got to do is go to a state. I mean, if you're going to sit there and use that for birth control, what's the cost of a plane ticket? Okay? And then afterwards, you can sit there and have some ice cream and smile and joke and have a good old time. Okay? Transgenderism. You know, that's another thing they want the permission to do all this goofy stuff. Really? Where is that in the Constitution again? I never did see that in the Constitution. Okay? And then with the COVID, wait for the government's permission to relax the restrictions so they can start living their lives again. Sorry, I don't ask permission from my government at all. Okay, what do they think about constitutional rights? They can be restricted. They're not absolute, remember? Hillary Clinton said the First Amendment, there's restrictions on the First Amendment. I mean, really? Where is that in the Constitution? That if the right president gets in office, he can start restricting your constitutional rights instead of protecting them. Where is that written in the Constitution? By the way, that's what they're going at. Okay? You know, they've been eroding the Second Amendment for many years. Back in the Old West, you went to prison, you ate your horse, and they gave you your gun back when you left because even an outlaw was allowed to protect himself. And if he broke the law again, he lost his freedom, he lost his gun and his rights, and went back to prison. But they have been eroding the Second Amendment for a long time. And do you realize the more restrictions they put on, they get the assault weapons banned? Eventually, us even having flint muskets will be too much for them to handle. And they'll have to outlaw them. You know, it's amazing how all these innovations and improvements in weapons, the citizenry is not allowed to have, but the government gets to have it. Doesn't that seem a little strange to you? I sure do. I mean, bump stocks? Really? And then that, you know, a guy like me, hey, thanks, Don. Thanks, Impeach, for being here. I appreciate it. But being trained like me, well, hell, I could have a 50 cal machine gun. I could have rocket launch missiles. I know how to run all that stuff. You know, I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of all the improvements and anything to make it a little bit better. And now who makes AR-15 wants to make it so it has an inside magazine, so not a detachable magazine. Good. I would stop buying AR-15s immediately. Put that company out of business. Let them fail. And one of you other guys that have a great idea how to improve the AR-15 platform, you start your business up and do that to the government. So I don't even know who makes the AR-15. I don't know. Is it Colt? I don't know. I mean, that's who makes the M16. I don't know if. I guess I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the AR-15 because I wasn't a big fan of the M16. I think it's a piece of garbage. Now, I saw an AR-15 308 that I was impressed with, But like I say, get a little sand on them. You can see how impressed you are. Okay. Um, and what I mean by the 10th Amendment, states are their own countries. Meaning, if you don't like the rules of the state you're in, you're allowed to leave that state and go to another state where you like the rules. Okay? They're their own countries. And I'm going to go into a little bit about the country Tim Walz is in charge of right now, the one that I escaped from almost 2 years ago, a year and 8 months ago, that I escaped from. What do we have in his state? Okay? And this is just over the last 4 years. The Summer of Love, George Floyd. No, I didn't. We live in a part of Minnesota where we dealt with that because, well, our sheriff's department would have never dealt with that anyway. But, up there where we were at, they stayed away. But, I did meet some police that had to work that stuff and said it was nuts. Okay. So we had burning. Okay. What does my grandson, one of my grandsons have to deal with in school? 2 furries, so they have litter boxes in their classroom. Thank you, Tim Walz. Okay. Tampons in the boys' bathroom. Thank you, Tim Walz. Okay. The state is being completely, especially southern Minnesota and the smaller towns, are being taken over by illegals and foreigners bad. A lot of Somalians. And they're turning these little towns into third world shitholes. It's sad to see towns that, I walked through 50 years ago that are, just completely being torn apart. Okay. So, yeah, he's turning the state into an illegal haven. And like I say, you think it's bad. If he could bring in what he wants, the next election, they won't even be in office if they steal it. There'll be some Mexicans or some illegals that will be running the country. Remember, it only took 20% to overthrow the British government and its army. What happens when the population of illegals in this country get around 40%? Then they could just take our country, claim themselves as the citizens, and us as the illegals. He transformed Minnesota into a transgender sanctuary. Transgender sanctuary state. Yep. Like I say, all those American moral values and stuff he has. And then his assault on the Second Amendment. Now in Minnesota, if you got a gun, it's got to have a trigger lock on it and locked in a safe. And then the ammunition's got to be locked in somewhere else in a different room. Are you kidding me? This only enables the criminals, knowing that now they don't have to worry about a pistol underneath some guy's pillow. Because if he does have it under there and he shoots the criminal for, let's say, trying to rape his wife, that guy will go to jail. You want to know what Tim Walz is? Just take a vacation to Minnesota. And start in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and drive through the south, and then head up north. Okay? And what do they also believe? If you don't believe like them, see, like I say, they need our approval to act the way they do. And if we don't approve of them, then that shows them in their little minds that they're not right. That's why we need to go to re-education camps. Are you kidding me? Flat out calling us to go to re-education camps? And they want to call us Nazis? This is this thing. I get on YouTube and I get the stupid liberal posting guy that keeps coming up. And this is what he's talking about, freedom. They think communism is freedom because communism will give them the permission to do the sick stuff they want to do. And they don't have to feel bad about it. That's why they like Camel Toes Harris's policies. Okay? How do you convince somebody that's in a cage and the whole time they're being told they're free, and you're standing outside the bars trying to explain to them they're not free? Especially when they're willing to die or do whatever it takes to stay in that cage. Because as long as you're in that cage, anything goes. However you feel, anything goes. Your needs are met. You can be the crazy, you know why these people can go out and live stupid, crazy lives? Because they don't have to be concerned with taking care of themselves. They don't have that responsibility. You can kick the illegals out, make all these people get a job. They clean your act up real good because they find out you can't function like that. Anyway. And obviously they feel that our borders should be wide open. Freedom is the ability to walk right across our borders, get money, squat in somebody's house and take control of it, get a driver's license, and definitely not have to follow the same rules that the citizens of the country have to follow. Like, how does an illegal get a driver's license without a birth certificate? How? How do they get a social security number without a birth certificate? See, there we go to, the laws being enforced equally to everybody. Everybody has to follow the same rules. See, this thing, if you're an illegal, you can't follow the same rules I'm following. You need to be out. I mean, what happens if I decide I don't want a social security number? I'm not going to pay taxes. But don't worry. Like I went into Friday. They give, we allow Kamala to steal this and get away with it. The Democrats do it. My life is going to change. I will not earn $1 to help this devil out. Okay? I will sacrifice and do whatever it takes. Okay? But that's their idea of freedom. Permission. What's the newest government decree? Make sure I don't gotta, another thing, to protect them from their feelings getting hurt. Where in the Constitution does it say I have to not hurt somebody's feelings? I mean, before the Civil War, there were fights that were breaking out in Congress. Okay? But anyway, when they say freedom, I just don't get where they're coming from. Freedom is get something free from the government. I mean, do none of you have a job and pay taxes and realize it'd be a lot cheaper on you if they would get a job and pay taxes? Then your taxes would go down too. Imagine if we got rid of the Health and Human Services Department. Instead of spending over $1 trillion a year on people that don't want to do nothing, they were actually go out and get a job and pay taxes. We could use that money to pay off the debt. Now I'm sounding like a politician. I'm not going there because I'm not a politician. I just got a lot of ideas. But first thing we need to do is to live within our means. Okay? You want our money to be worth something, you got to make our country worth something. And that's going to take hard work and determination from everybody. Because like I say, we're all in this sinking ship together. But some of them just can't be convinced. I mean, the Democrats already have the sheeple convinced. It's the rest of us in the middle, okay? Or in the other side fighting it, which is me. And then we got the ones in the middle. Just like the Revolutionary War was. You had the ones that want to be left alone, and then the two that want to get at each other. Okay? And that's what we're dealing with now. But like I say, we can't convince somebody that they're not free, they're enslaved, they're in a cage. When they're looking at the bars and you on the other side, and they just don't understand because they threw a cell phone at them with some McDonald's. And hey, we got Wi-Fi. Oh, we're free. And I sit out here and know what real freedom is. Totally independent from the system. I mean, I'm going to be so independent from the system, everybody, that as of November 6th, I will stop getting paid. Now, I'm lucky my house comes with the job. I don't have electric, I don't have no utility bills. And I'll have my boss take care of my cell phone bill if he wants me to have a cell phone. But I got internet through him, so I got this. But you got to make a stand somewhere. I mean, it's just, I can't do it. It's got nothing to do with, I just feel I'm doing the right thing, but I can't do it. I will not make one dime to support a communist regime. Not one. And now we're going to sit there, maybe run into something new where somebody gets charged with tax evasion for not taking a paycheck and not earning a living when he's actually working. You watch. Okay, Trump can work for nothing for 4 years to try to fix this country. So can I. I just don't think people realize how bad some people are suffering from all this. Getting up and watching this, just $25,000 for a down payment out of my pocket. Okay, if I want to give somebody money for a down payment towards a house, I'll give it to them. I don't need the government taking it from me to give it to them, to raise my taxes. People say, why don't you give to charity? I give to charity every payday. Isn't that what you do? The government takes your money and distributes it out to people that need it more than you do. To illegals that come into this country, to wars, to sit there and start up World War III. Anyway, the only thing that's going to solve this, since the ideas are too separate, like I say, we're screaming at them, you're in a cage, you're screaming at us. No, we're not. You guys are the ones that aren't free. And they're sitting there hitting their boundaries every time. Can't go past this boundary, because if I say what I'm really thinking, then I'm passing this boundary and I may be ridiculed. And people won't talk to me no more. I would much rather stand by myself any day than stand with a group of knuckleheads and a bunch of cowards. Okay? Like I say, you know how strong your convictions are when you're the only one in the room that believes that way. So anyway, that's all I got for tonight. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm glad I got it done within an hour. I wasn't sure about that. I could have got this stuff. When you can get on YouTube here and just talk for an hour or 2 hours and continue going and still have stuff to say. That's how messed up the world is. Like I said, I'd rather have my Wild Kingdom YouTube channel and do nothing but watch wildlife and videotape wildlife and make programs like that. But we got bigger problems to solve before I can go and relax, okay? But I still get those videos in. But anyway, yeah, this is all I got. You still be kicking out the thought of the day. That's going real good when YouTube doesn't trash it down too bad. But you know what? YouTube, I really don't care. I see the games you're playing. I mean, I got one video of me picking up bales that's got over 14,000 views because it's put on the feed almost 20,000 times. And then I got shorts that you won't even put on the feed. And the only reason they get views is because people happen to find my channel or notifications. And you don't send a lot of them. I think, Carol, you're the only one that gets the notifications. Because my daughters don't even get it until after the show. I know I get my notifications. Well, maybe I ain't get mine from Prepper Nurse One like I used to, because I used to get him all the time. I just don't know if he's on. I know he's busy, but I mean, I get his shorts, but he don't go live much anymore, does he? I'm finally to where I ain't got to work so much. Maybe I can start catching him. That's one thing about being a creator I don't like. You don't get to be the fan that you used to be. I mean, I enjoy being the fan. I enjoy watching the guys I really like watching. I just don't have the time, and plus out here, I ain't got the signal. So in a lot of places, so I don't get to watch that like I want to. But anyway, I sure appreciate you everybody being here. Like I say, spread the word. It's starting to start organizing. I mean, was it 80 days left? Ed has went back to work as of recent. Okay. But anyway, and then prepare. Another thing I'm doing for preparing, go through your bug out bag, your medicals. Now is the time to go through all that stuff. You should be doing it every 6 months. If even if it hasn't been 6 months, go through it again. You never know who's going to be coming down your street where you have to get the hell out. Okay. One thing you learn in the military, sometimes you have to retreat to fight another day. Okay? That's just tactics, chess, back and forth, back and forth. You got to give and then take back. Anyway, there's a world of hurt coming. Like I say, I want the days back where all we had to worry about was Monica Lewinsky and what Bill Clinton was doing when Hillary Clinton wasn't around or whatever. The good old days. Remember how much of a fuss the country made over that? God, if we would have only known what was down the pike in 30 years, that wouldn't even, or 25 years, that wouldn't even been a hiccup in history. Just to show you where we're at. Anyway, everybody have a good night. This is Lone Wolf Prepper out.